Hey everyone, welcome.
Hey.
Climate literacy and energy and awareness awareness network call.
How you doing, Kristen?
Kristen's almost to her vacation is what's happening.
4 days, T-minus 4 days to vacation. I see most people I know, but I don't know everyone on the call. If you're new or if you, why don't we, since we're small, why doesn't everyone just say, hi, I am, and what you're up to?
Sure.
And we'll play popcorn on this. So we'll toss it around. So I'm Kristen Poppleton. I work at Climate Generation. I'm the Senior Director of Programs, and I'm pleased to be here with you all today. And I will pass this off to Emily.
Uh-oh, so I came in a little late.
We're just doing introductions.
What do popcorn?
We're just saying hi.
Okay, hi. I'm Emily. I do climate communication, focusing on storytelling work. I'm freelance and I live in Santa Cruz.
Choose somebody.
Frank, you.
Oh. Frank Napold. I'm in Brookville, Maryland right now, and I'm the Senior Climate Education Program Manager for NOAA's Climate Program Office, and Clean Co-Chair currently. And I'm going to choose Ginger. You're muted there, Ginger.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I'm Ginger Wireman. I'm in Eastern Washington. I actually work for the Nuclear Waste Program at the Department of Ecology, which is Hanford cleanup. But I am hoping to move into climate education adaptation at some point and keep pushing that issue.
Who do you want to choose, Ginger?
Yeah, who do I choose? How about Patrick? We only have one Patrick.
Right. So, hey, I'm Patrick Chandler. I'm a PhD student at University of Colorado in Boulder. Focus on creating guidelines for partnership between art and science to communicate about environmental and social justice issues and spur community action on those. And I'll pass it to Jen.
Hey everybody, I'm Jen Kretzer. I'm the Director of Climate Initiatives at the Wild Center, a science center in northern New York State in the Adirondack Park. And yeah, just coming to you from a rainy day in the mountains, actually. It's we're getting a little edge of that hurricane that's moving up the coast. So hanging out. Oh, and I will pass it to, let's see, Wendy.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, everybody. Wendy Abshire. I'm coming to you from Arvada, Colorado, at the midpoint between downtown Denver and downtown Boulder. I am the director of the American Meteorological Society's education program, and we do K-13 education. And Frank, I wanted to say thanks for seeing that announcement from one of our mentors in the NSTA and sending that out to the Clean Network. That's what we do. That's what's coming up. And I hadn't seen Dave's announcement, so I'm really glad you did.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure.
Do you want to pick someone, Wendy? Who? Frank. How about you?
I already went. Oh, that Frank.
No, the other one.
Frank G. Frank G.
First of all, Patrick, I want to know, where the heck are you today? I'm looking at your background.
I'm within my virtual background. But
Oh, okay.
this
Okay.
this picture was taken on a hike about a week ago up in the Indian Peaks Wilderness area, kind of behind Boulder, and that's Lone Eagle Peak right there.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, definitely a nice place to be. Well, I'm Frank Granshaw. I'm here in Portland, Oregon. It's actually sunny out, a few clouds in the sky, below 100 degrees. So we've had a couple of those days here recently. Anyway, I'm a retired community college geoscience instructor. Now spending a lot of time, well, part-time at Portland State, teaching climate science for non-science majors, doing a lot of other stuff, among other things, getting used to a brand new puppy, which is, we're actually getting some sleep nowadays. And let's see, I'm trying, I'm going to butcher your name. I'm sorry, but Devarty?
Yep.
Did I say that halfway right?
The moment people say butcher, then I know it's my name.
That's okay. I got a last name people butcher, so we'll go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it right. So, but I my ear perk up when someone says butcher, and then I say, yeah, I respond. So there. Hi, I am Devarty. Today I am in Minnesota, but usually I come to you from Lincoln, Nebraska. I am a STEM education fellow there. I am also teaching climate literacy this fall. So these days are spent into thinking about the depth of ideas and how much can we teach, how do we prepare for uncertain times, and all the fun things. I am gonna throw my popcorn to everyone talked. Katie, you didn't go. Jim didn't go. Katie, you go.
I think we're the last two left. So yeah, thanks to Roddy. I'll go next and then I'll send it to Jim. I'm Katie Boyd. I'm the Clean Program Manager, and then that's part of my role within the series Education and Outreach Group, which is a cooperative institute for research in environmental sciences at the University of Colorado. The other role I play in that group is doing a lot of research and evaluation around some of our educational projects. And then Clean is my climate change education project that I work on. So those are kind of my two worlds. And I think that's all for me. I'll send it along to Jim next.
All right, thanks, Katie. Jim Callahan, climatechangeeducation.org. One of the things going on this summer, currently working on not only editing the videos, but it's working with the students both for the summer and for the school year ahead. Them having voiceover on videos, but also giving a lot of different presentations on Zoom. One of the things that's pretty gratifying about that is that makes, with a number of the schools, quite legitimate, quite serious language arts, right? Tying climate change into language arts, in that they're writing, they're reading, the difference between the written and the spoken language. It's quite exciting and quite interesting to have this, and of course it's a subject kids like. These are challenges that aren't just, oh, here, write a paragraph and no one's ever going to read it. You're now going to say this, and kids all over the world are going to be hearing this. That's pretty exciting. Anyway, that's something going on. And let's see, Kristen, you're. I guess, does that mean just circling back to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and I didn't ask folks if there was anything they wanted to share announcements-wise, other than just saying who they are. Jim, thanks for sharing what you're up to. Does anyone have any announcements to share? I have one I could share. We have fabulous workshop happening this week. I'll put it in the chat as part of our Eyewitness campaign series, which is focusing on sharing stories of climate change, more from a Minnesota focus, but as our folks from around the country usually end up attending, and because it's virtual, anyone can. And this is going to be really cool. Ricardo Morales is a beautiful artist, Puerto Rican artist from Minnesota, who will talk about the intersection of racial justice and climate change. Maria Issa is a performing artist whose song Bomba for George Floyd has sort of gone viral, and she'll be singing that. And then Ben Passer works in energy equity and is on our board actually also, but it's going to be pretty cool, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity to take action throughout it. So there'll be a petition and a letter and a story, crafting your climate story. So that's one thing we're up to. Frank, you're not doing anything this week, are you?
Well, yes, we are. So the ACE National Strategy Dialogues are launching this Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We're in the final development phases. I think everyone on this call knows what we're talking about. Well, one insight I'll give you is let's put it in the chat again if you don't, but there are over 170 institutions and organizations represented across all the dialogues registrations. An email with all the details will be coming out right after this call. We're finalizing that as we speak. And the diversity, the intentional effort to get a very diverse representation on all the dimensions of ACE and all the dimensions of our nation, tribal, and territory lands is we're getting there. It's complicated, it's hard, but we're getting there. It's been a lot of work, and the panels are awesome. The representation is awesome. And it's just, it's coming together at the perfect time. So I'm really pleased with everyone's effort and contributions to date, but we still have a little bit more to go. Thursday is going to be fun.
Are we doing just general announcements? Can I do a different topic? Can I switch it up? Cool. So clean, we are doing a webinar, workshop sort of next week with Tamara Ledley. She's running a workshop on how to use the climate interactive En-ROADS decision support model. I sent this out to the clean email list as well, probably send another reminder later this week, but thought I'd say it in here also if anyone's interested in joining. I put the link to the registration in the chat. And then I have a second announcement, which is Christy Bovington emailed me this morning, and she and Colleen Fisk are running, and I know they sent this out to the list a while back as well, but they're actually running their teacher workshop that they they've created based on their connection and collaboration through Clean Calls. Actually, they sent me emails saying they're doing this workshop this week and they'll plug Clean, but they also just mentioned that they're super excited that it came out of a Clean network connection. And so I thought I'd just sort of mention that and just say that's kind of an exciting thing happening from the Clean network right now. So
this is Wendy. I can provide. Oh,
No,
go ahead, Jim, or you want to?
Well, very quickly, Katie, and talking with Christy, they have 35 teachers on their call this next few days. So it's pretty substantial. That's great. Sorry, Wendy. Thank you.
No problem at all. I just wanted to provide an update that for those that know, we run 2 summer courses for K-12 educators that are competitively selected. And they actually are 6-week courses normally. With 1 week in residence, and one had to be postponed due to COVID. It wasn't ready to go fully online, but the other, we took the whole thing online, and last week was our virtual residency. It's called Project Atmosphere, but because it is a weather-focused course funded by NOAA and NASA, it does contain an element of climate science, and our longest specific one-time session was on climate science, led by the Weather Service's Barb Boosted, if you know Barb, and her work that she does with climate and probability and dice rolling and teaching the teachers that, and also terrific tie-in to Laura Ingalls Wilder and literature. And it was tremendously successful even at a distance, even though it's normally very hands-on. And we were online from 7 a.m. in my time zone Monday until 6:30 p.m. Friday. It was intense. It was awesome. And the best report of all is, even in this crazy world with everything K-12 educators are facing, including some of them not knowing what they were walking into this week with starting school, these amazing teachers were engaged. They were learning, they were supporting each other, and they actually managed to bond as a group, even though the entire course was online instead of in person. And so mission accomplished in this crazy world, giving us energy to persevere on into fall.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, I'd love to hear, like, we should debrief our virtual workshop stuff and like what's working for people and how it, because that was one of our big, like, amazing ahas too, was like the sense of intimacy was still established in some way through, despite the fact we were all online. So
That's a really good point, Kristen. There was some talk last week, I know, on the call of some folks being interested in hearing how the Stay Institute went and, you know, how you managed to do all of that virtually and everything like that. And so I wonder if there's sort of two calls here, maybe some reporting out about that, but then also maybe more of an informal discussion day where we kind of focus on these virtual workshops and what's working and what's not. Yeah.
I can just
I would love that. That'd be great. What's that? Sorry.
Just building on that real quickly, that one, you know, there are certain kinds of bonding that happen in person that we all are familiar with, but there's the sense that you come together, you have that week, and then maybe we'll stay in touch, maybe we won't. And I found that in our experience to be replaced by this sense of we are together in this virtual space, which means we can continue to be in community at a distance. And the kinds of things that the teachers gravitated toward were even offering each other PD on the weekend going forward, completely not associated with our course, but inspired by the course. Some of them saying they wanted to build off things they did in Project Atmosphere and submit abstracts for upcoming conferences to tell the story further. So it just changed the whole mindset from we're together in person to we are community engaged at a distance. And I was not expecting that, but it was a beautiful, positive outcome.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't, I think the ACE listening session structure of a moderated panel is a new thing for the clean weekly calls. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't have a group of people who've been doing this virtual only professional development come into a panel and just have a conversation about what's working, what's not working, how is it working, what are the advantages, what are the trade-offs. You know, the one other one that I've participated in, I've actually been participating in a lot recently, is the Mid-Atlantic Climate Change Education Conference. That was a different model than the Stay Institute, and also then again different than Project Atmosphere, Wendy. So I think it would be good for us to come together with like 4 or 5 people who have all been lit and do it together. That'd be my suggestion.
That'd be awesome. Let's do it.
All right, Katie, let's Katie and Patrick, let's make it happen. I think we can easily come together. I mean, you guys are the schedulers, so you're like that on my screen. So maybe the coordinating team can come together and put that together pretty quickly. Are you guys game?
Yeah, let's check in after about when and what makes the most sense. You know,
Sure.
At this point, I'm a little tempted to wait a couple weeks and get us one more informal conversation so that we can bump up teacher attendance for something like that. But I don't know, maybe that's not.
I'm thinking more
Oh,
program
like September. Like September would be fine.
Yeah,
Kristen's
I'm
going on
thinking-
vacation. I'm going on vacation at some point.
I'm going on vacation.
Leaving.
So okay, let's how about this? We'll look at early September.
Mid.
Now we're looking at mid-September. What year are we looking at? I don't know. 2023?
2020, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I sent a doodle poll.
That's great. Let's all get to the doodle poll for 2028. Okay, that's fun. We'll figure something out. I hear you loud and clear.
I'm thinking we've already got 2 calls scheduled for September on the 1st and the 15th. So we can either do the 8th or the 22nd if we want to just put it on the calendar. Who's for the 22nd? Who's for the, okay. All right, 22nd it is.
My calendar's taking a long time to load. Just a second.
Well, this is the first time I've remembered us actually scheduling a clean call during a clean call. Just saying, you guys.
It's a nice way to do it, though. 'Cause
All right, get done.
people who are interested, yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to run that one?
I'm more than happy to do it, but I don't have to be that guy because I'm more interested in learning from you guys than I am from sharing what I mean. I'm more of that guy, but I'm more than happy to have other people do it.
Yeah,
Do you
but I
want to
think
do a facilitated panel? Is that what
Yeah.
we're talking about?
Yep.
Is there
Yeah, so
somebody who's like been involved with your ACE dialogue panel planning that you could call in to be our facilitator?
Well, I'm not substantive, right, on this one. I mean, you know, Kristen, and you know, the work you guys are doing in Climate Gen is great. Somebody's got a duck. Is that a duck?
Parrot?
A raven?
Raven?
Oh, it's a crow on my end.
It's a crow.
All right, it's a crow.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's fun.
It's all good. Keep going there, Frank.
I'm wondering if we might, like Azatis is really deeply involved in the dialogue work. I think that she'd make actually a good panelist.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, as opposed to just facilitating, I think she would have a lot to contribute. Just to be thinking about like, if we're really gonna, like, if we're gonna do this, and let's like think outside this room that we have right now, like who else is actually doing really cool convening work or virtually that. And I know I haven't seen Reb in a while, but she might be another one. I think they're doing a lot of stuff, particularly with youth, but that might be, maybe that's too many, but I think that there's some cool.
Yeah, Frank, I don't know that I would love it if you wanted to lead this just because I think you can still learn. And I think the main leading of this is just finding the panelists and somebody to be a facilitator, you know? So if you'd be willing, just because you have tie-ins with all these different institutes and workshops and things like that more than the rest of us might, then you might
happy
be
to do it.
For it actually.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
That'd be great.
I mean, it's because one of the questions I'm really looking at trying to unearth is, so we've done all this like radical fast learning in this virtual space. How, when we go back to post-pandemic, that's weird, but you know what I mean. When the pandemic is over, how will professional development be different because of all the things we've forced ourselves to learn how to do and participants have learned how to do? How will we be operating? Because Wendy, what you said at the beginning, this is a really interesting question, right? Like there's certain things that we never would have done this if the pandemic had happened. But now it has, and now we see, because we had to, some things that actually are pretty awesome. And so I think that's one of the questions I want to know is because, like, you know, Kristen, the same is for you with the Stay Institute. I mean, you know, and the institutes that you've been running for 15 years. You did some new things here. How is that going to translate into beyond the pandemic? So we can actually get the scale, which is really a big part of our work. So I'm starting to run a panel right now. Sorry. Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
I'm happy to help you too, Frank, if you want.
That'd be awesome.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
I noticed
I have
that
some ideas.
the second glance, we have our ACE dialogue panel scheduled for the 22nd. Do we want this to be that for September, or do we want?
No, actually, no, we don't want to do that.
Okay.
We wouldn't want to do that, right, Frank? Sorry, I jumped right in on that. We already have that scheduled, so we should be reporting out about those dialogues.
Yeah. Well, we haven't actually described what we're going to do in the September one, but I think probably because we have the August one already scheduled. And just so you remind you guys that's for the August one is the third of the informal education dialogues.
Wait, which one? When is that? Which one is that?
That's August. What is that? You're looking at it. Is it
25th.
August 25th is the clean call dedicated to AIDS on this month.
Yep. This one is going to be with Rachel Valletta, Bernadette Plackey from Climate Central, David Sittenfeld, Miranda Massey from Climate Museum, and Lee Peak. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Yep. From GMRI. And maybe Pat Hamilton from Minnesota. Looking on informal education. What if he has a job?
They just cut 60% of their staff.
Yeah, this. I mean, some of these people are. I mean, you know, I don't know if you guys are all tracking this, But the informal education, cultural institutions are just getting demolished with COVID right now, especially the zoos and aquaria where they have large sustained investments in physical plant, like living organisms, where you can't just like de-shutter it. And then, I mean, we're getting this all over NOAA. We're just, the pain is substantial.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's
Coming, speaking as the informal institution person, one of those people here today.
I mean, am I characterizing it as bad as it is?
Yes, it's bad.
It's very bad.
It's really bad. It's
my entire economic turnaround is over, and the budget I have to turn in later this week is deeply red. And there's no avoiding it, which I'm trying really hard to realize is not personal failure. It is COVID life.
And agreed out here, Bay Area. I mean, the science museums are suffering, and as you point out, Frank, especially the zoos, like the Oakland Zoo, which is quite a wonderful place. We certainly get to do climate stuff there. I mean, they are seriously putting out they may need to close permanently. How do you do that, right? So it looks like they get to reopen again, but they're really, at the edge. So terrible.
Yeah. This is a good segue into something I've been thinking about actually, in that two things actually I've been thinking about. So I'm embarrassed to say, and I want to knock on wood, but like a small environmental nonprofit is a good place to be right now. Like we're doing fine, and getting our grants and all those things. And our donor base may change next year. That's where we're anticipating change, but like our staff, we're growing, we're adding staff right now. Like we're doing fine. And so one of the things I've been thinking about is knowing that we've got our expertise and a huge pool of talent in this network. How can we be of service right now? Especially for teachers who are entering like this school year and young people that are looking for things, but also being aware that, like you're saying, there's a lot of folks, and some folks right here on this call, of course, that are stressed out and have zero capacity to do anything else because you're just sort of in holding pattern. So I recognize that as well. So it was something I was thinking about, like, oh, I wonder if there's like, is this an opportunity for Clean to say we're offering to teachers a bi-monthly, twice a month, ask the scientists for an hour, have your classrooms dial in or whatever, like a free series or something that like we can say this is available to schools that are, because things like that are virtually available are awesome resources for teachers to like know, oh, this is going to be a constant thing I can ask my kids to like go to or whatever. And we have like 700 people on this network. Like no one would have to do anything twice, but it would be, I don't know. So anyways, I was just trying to think of like what's something we can do, because that also makes you feel better when you do nice things and support people. So.
Well, and I wonder about people who've been furloughed or outright, got pink slips. Would they be willing to engage their expertise and talents because it gives them an opportunity to still stay engaged and feel like they're contributing and not just sitting at home facing a horrible unknown situation? They wouldn't get paid for it, but it keeps their name out there, it keeps them active, and they get to be with their peers. So there may be some value in providing an opportunity for that.
I guess picking up on what you just said, Ginger, one of the things that at NOAA, we rely on partners massively. And to have so many of our awesome partners furloughed and their organizations that they are able to be awesome from are shattered, really it's taken a huge hit to our mission capabilities. And I don't mean to be selfish in the way I say that. I think you guys get where I'm coming from. But I'm wondering, as we move forward into the COVID economic response, that one of the ways that we could be helpful to matching what we need on climate education and social response, and then also in economic recovery, is that, I'm thinking of people at the Aquarium of the Pacific. A lot of them have been furloughed. Other organizations, a lot of them have been furloughed. Imagine, Jen, I don't know if you guys have you brought everybody back yet? Or you still have some people, not all the staff back at the Wild Center?
Well, we didn't hire any seasonal staff. So normally we go from a staff of like 32 to a staff of 90. So none of those other staff that we had lined up for the summer came back. And so now, like all of the permanent full-time staff, no matter what your position, every week, like I have a day at the Wild Center where I'm like cleaning, like literally cleaning, like doing trail talks, like old school, like back when I like started as a naturalist, like, standing in front of the otters and like chatting with visitors and stuff, because our campus is open, our inside isn't. So it's like having different ramifications. So it's like shifting work, like people have to readjust their schedules to like do jobs that they don't normally do. So it's like more job sharing across. But so far we haven't laid anybody off, but like that is still, I'm going after every grant that I can find to help support the museum as a whole, not just the climate program, but the whole institution. Because that of all the things that are happening elsewhere, like it's coming for rural areas too. It just hasn't quite hit as hard yet, but they're not far behind some of the big institutions that have already shut down or laid off significant numbers of staff.
Yeah, actually, what you just said triggered it's aligned with your point, Kristen, but I'm wondering if, not everyone is good at writing grants. And a lot of the way you're going to get money to kind of bridge this gap is going to probably be grants. So I'm wondering if we wrote like a grant writers event, like tips and tricks and strategies on how to write effective grants. There are people in this group that are very good at that. And just as a general, I don't know if it violates the general NGO world where, but I'm just thinking that, would that be helpful for just how to move forward and finding money to fill the gap? Just an idea.
To just bounce off that, Frank, one of the things that I'm finding is peer support. So in addition to like just like a tips or tricks thing, if there's some sort of like informal peer support thing where people who are looking for grants can buddy system up with people who have more experience writing them, then we can pair them a little bit more informally and be more long-term support. Just an idea.
So let me throw in a question here as a retired person. And that's namely, what experience have you folks had in terms of utilizing retired people? I know SAGE is out there and a few other organizations like that, but it strikes me that one of the things that's interesting for those of us who are retired is that we don't have the concerns about an income. Because we don't have a lucrative income, but we've got an income that's stable, at least for the time being. And so it just strikes me that there's a lot of folks out there, retired college profs, retired business people, et cetera, that could really be an asset here. And so what experience have you folks had utilizing that asset?
We have like an ambassadors network, like organizationally, that we just started training, like having on hand. And a number of them are retired folks. They're always folks that attend they have to have gone to some of our institutes and trainings first, but like, yeah, they're great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the model. Tiffany Boyd's not on the call today, but she's been on several clean calls lately, and her model of trying to help support teachers to bring climate into their classroom is mostly using retired teachers. Like that's how she started, was just she herself went and started helping some of her previous colleagues, and has kind of created this little group that's doing that work in this area. So I know she uses retired teachers quite a bit for helping support teachers.
I said this in the chat, but retired educators, especially recently retired, so they're familiar with a modern classroom, but they have more time on their hands, are an essential part of our extending our teacher PD opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I was hearing folks just talking about right now is that staffs are getting minimized, but people are getting stretched because of the fact that you just simply don't have the money to pay those additional people. And I'm just really trying to think in terms of, in the back of my head, and how retired folks could be used to, could be leveraged to help make up that deficit in some way.
I'll jump in. Are we there? Hi. So obviously this is one Frank G. and Katie on a mix of let's see, when it comes to the larger informal education institutions, the docents, the volunteers, come from two main demographics: retired people and teenagers. There's the people in the middle, but it's the retired people and the teenagers that are usually the bulk, and often have more time and more dedicated. So I mean, another backup of how powerful that is. And then also say from formal education, indeed, other subjects, retired teachers or retired parents, just people of other professions, are often in the schools as volunteers. I mean, I would say that we in climate are kind of behind on that, and I'd rather than kick ourselves, it's to realize that, hey, that what you were pointing to, Katie and Frank, and is right on the money. That we can. This is an area where climate can be in the schools more strongly. I know I get that feedback from Natalie and other teachers that what personally I can do is a model that should be able to be spread. Of we have the time to go in and help teachers do what they never could do on their own. Maybe along with that, Frank G. and maybe Tiffany, there could be, I don't know if it can be become an informal thing, but if we put out the flag that, hey, we're interested, we're doing it, join us, work with us, we'll share it. I mean, I don't know if it needs a big formal organization or make a big deal, but I'm willing to do my part. I'm encouraging others to do. They don't have to do it the way we do it, right? They don't have to use our materials or anything like that, but in advancing climate education, retired people being able to make a contribution is quite strong. I think it also goes with, in the way I'm kind of looking at the COVID time, as dreadful as it is also a time of opportunity. It's a time where we can focus on kind of organizational and doing some things that in the normal rush of things, when we go from one huge event to another, we don't have time to make videos. We don't have time to reach out on Zoom. Let's find the silver lining, or in crisis as opportunity. I mean, that's kind of, it can be nasty, but it also is, let's say it's maybe rising to the challenge. And maybe again, us retired people, where we're not suffering that much economically compared to younger people right now. Anyway, I hope I meant that to be uplifting, even if the tone of my voice maybe isn't as much as it should have been.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm wondering here, good, I'm not muted, is would it be too much if I change the subject a little bit? Nope, nobody has a problem with that. Actually, I'm looking for ideas on something. I will be teaching next fall, and I'm going to be teaching my usual global environmental change, climate science for non-science majors. Customarily, I have the students do posters. In years past, that has been posters that has had a public viewing, a public poster session at the end of the quarter. couple of years ago, we started doing virtual posters, and that was actually tied into the virtual bridge to COP25 that we'd organized in Portland. And one of the things I'm looking at this year is the fact that AGU is actually fully online. And I do know I'm hoping to have a discussion with Pranoti Asher here pretty soon in terms of how maybe the students could get involved with that. But I'm looking at the fact that we're doing a heck of a lot of stuff online nowadays. And a lot of our classes are being taught online. And being able, particularly with undergraduates, to be able to pair them up with professional conferences and things like that just seems like really a rich possibility. But that being said, that's just a wild idea that's kicking around the back of my brain. And I'm just wondering if anybody else has any other thoughts on that in terms of how we can link up undergraduates, high school kids with some of these professional conferences. Well, not only professional conferences, but I do know there's a People's Cup coming up pretty soon in November. And so I'm open to ideas.
I don't know about those other forums, but I think like virtual poster sessions. We have a art gallery here that has now had 2 gallery openings online, and obviously it's not as fun, and we're not all visiting with each other. But if you were interested in incorporating a poster sessions or some kind of art, or I was thinking even like, could somebody do a TikTok video of, a climate lesson or something like that to share with others, and then, look at what conferences are out there and maybe incorporate that into one of their breaks, direct conference to those, and then have the students names and some kind of contact information if they want to. You're doing it for the non-science majors, but if they're taking this course, like if they're a communications or business major, it seems to me like they must be interested in climate, or maybe looking for jobs in sustainability or something. So maybe even have them all make a LinkedIn page and get active on LinkedIn for professional development, and then try to partner with professionals that way. Might be another one.
Okay. Yeah, and actually you're mentioning that in terms of what the art thing that you're doing with students. One thing, it sort of falls along the lines of an announcement, not really quite an announcement. Some of you may have been familiar with the fact that there's a effort to organize a People's Cup that would occur during the November time bracket that the COP26 would take place. The focus for that is coming out of Southern Austria, Miroslav Polzer, and I was just talking with him recently about the format of that People's Cup, and what they're looking at there is kind of a framework for taking local events and being able to network them globally. And so one of the things I was talking to him about, which was something that was a component of the virtual bridge, was student showcase. And so this is something to keep in mind for folks looking for ways of really getting their student work out internationally. Unfortunately, I don't have much more information than that. It's still pretty much in planning stages.
All right. Well, and if somebody does, say, a 5-minute presentation, and it's, on YouTube or TikTok, it could go viral and something could end up having a very extended reach. You just never know what's going to catch on and be shared. So I think that's kind of a neat thing.
Mm-hmm. I feel like one of the challenges around these bigger conferences is they're so diffuse. And you know, like last year, last couple of years, I've done workshops for the Sharing Science section of AGU, and they found out last year that there was also an art communication that the Sharing Science folks didn't know existed happening in the same space, and it's like things are so messy that even the conference organizers don't really know what's fully going on. So I feel like if you're going to be effective and impactful at involving students that and something that actually gets attention and an audience, which is challenging in those bigger arenas, it's got to be something super poignant and interesting. And building off a little bit about what Ginger mentioned, I do feel like there's an interesting gap generationally between communicating digitally, especially with new platforms like TikTok. And it might be an interesting opportunity that would gather enough interest and energy if you had youth presenting on those new panels and how to leverage different communication forms to increase viewership and outreach there. And if that's something you're interested in doing, let me know and I'll reach out to the Sharing Science folks to see if they have interest.
Good, thanks.
Along those lines, I was going to mention that, you know, AGU has gone pretty well completely virtual this year, and so maybe a little more accessible to students. So that's another option. I know they often have like a student poster session, but I would bet they do virtually, and I'm pretty sure that students can get free registration this year because all the registration rates are about half of what they normally are. And I know teachers have always been able to get into free at AGU, and some students have, but I'm pretty sure they expanded those categories, and I think more students are able to attend free this year. So just another.
Yeah, it definitely, I just was looking recently at the registration page, and it definitely is free. And fortunately, AGU is our finals week at Portland State, so I'm definitely looking at getting students wired in with it.
And so Patrick, have this in your back pocket whenever you need it. Is definitely the students at Lowell are in that camp of already regularly taking part in presentations and looking through the year. In fact, I think our problem is going to be making the right choices and not overcommit to too many Zoom calls during the year and too many things going on. But you know, things that are important, and they're certainly participating, not just have it hosted by Lowell. Right. So.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I think is a perennial challenge in all of this is it's something we all struggle with is connecting our intent and our resources with the people we intend to connect with. Probably with everyone in the digital space that I mean, just marketing, just getting what we're doing to who would benefit is not a trivial task at all. In a clean, you know, collection effort, we've been spending years focused on promotion and marketing, and we're getting good results in the trends, but it is tricky. The amount of times I'll go to a teacher professional development situation and say, oh, the Clean Network, and they're like, the what? The Clean Collection, the what? It's still, I mean, and we've been doing this since 2009, and we're still making inroads. So I think one of the, I just want to flag it as a massive area where we share this problem together. So hopefully we share the solution together, but let's not forget to focus on it. It should, in many ways, it's job one.
I'll second that. I had no idea that AGU had teacher education or any kind of education until I started coming to Clean Calls, and I've been doing this non-formal science education for 20 years.
Yep.
I gotta pop off. You guys have a great week. And Frank, can you send me your email? I think
you should be able to find my email. It's just Frank.
Other Frank.
That Frank.
Have
Oh.
your Frank
I'm not used to.
Renshaw, can you send
I'm
me
not.
yours,
I'm not used to
right?
having two Franks in the room. So sorry.
We'll call you FG and
Yeah,
FN.
AFG.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Let's see. I'm gonna mute myself.
Frank, you were speaking
Yeah,
without speaking.
I actually have to jump off a little early today too because I have another thing at noon. I gotta go transition a bit here. So, but thanks everyone. This was a great call, and yeah, talk to y'all soon.
Thanks, Katie.
So Frank, I wanted to ask you a favor. The person who just jumped off, I don't know her name.
Ginger.
Could you, Ginger, would you mind
Yeah.
sending me her email so I can send her mine?
Yeah. Yep. I believe, you know, the trick here is using our good old friend search in our inbox.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I've only got a couple Gingers in my inbox, so I'll get it to her.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yep.
I have
Got it.
Really, if there's nothing else that's really pressing, I have so we were talking about buddy system. Does anybody know offhand like a useful widget for connecting people that we can just start sticking up on pages to help those sub communities connect with each other directly so that we don't have to put a lot of programmatic effort into organizing all of that? Anybody have a tool for that already?
So what's the explain the purpose of the tool again.
Okay, so I had mentioned like, so Frank brought up something and I was like, but what about buddy systems so that you have like more long-term support? So I've been playing with this with another project also. So for different subtopics, helping basically add a widget on whatever page that we've got with information so that people who are interested in those subtopics can connect directly to each other and start to form relationships directly. So that it's not so much programmatic time and energy. I'm trying to like as the host.
Match.com for.
Oh, wow.
Like
Match.com.
But for. I mean, it is.
But for like people who are interested in climate education or whatever, but like sub communities.
Yeah, but still Match.com, but just very different goal.
I know someone who writes the algorithms for that stuff.
Okay.
Well,
very lucrative field.
Do you want to ping them to me?
He does not want to be involved with climate change work. He's
okay.
But you know, I mean,
like it's complex.
but a simpler tool that all of us have access to, I think, is a LinkedIn group. I've always been wondering about LinkedIn groups, like, because you know, right now, even though there's over 740 people in the Clean Network, I don't know who they are. I honestly don't. We don't know who's in the Clean Network. We know who shows up.
I want to figure. That's one of my goals coming in as a chair of Clean.
So, but you know, the way this.
Vardy, are you with me?
Are you with her, Vardy?
She's with me. I'm just gonna say she's with me.
I'm with you too, even though I'm not like an officer or whatever.
You're like always an officer, actually. You're permanently an officer.
We found a person and there was a widget, and then Kristen said, I got a person, and Emily said, find a person, and he said, no, he doesn't help. And then Devardi, are you listening? Yeah, why mention the person if he wasn't going to help?
Wow, we're having a Clean Leadership Board all so quickly. Welcome to our process. So look,
there's got to be some sort of tool already.
There is, I mean, you know, look, let's put it, Patrick, since you're still on the coordinating team, you and me, and Devardi and Kristen, you'll be joining the committee in September. Let's put this on an action item, because it is a perennial challenge of the Clean Network that we actually don't know who is in the network. And
yeah,
you know,
I want to do a network analysis. I want to use some tools, and I want to figure out the connections and the needs for the connections and the way to do
the tools to facilitate the connections and all that kind of stuff, right? Other than the listserv, which is a clumsy tool for this purpose. But I've got my own ideas as a current chair, and happy to be a post chair sometime in the future. I guess that's September of 2022 is when I disappear as a chair.
You don't disappear.
As a chair. As a chair.
Okay.
But anyway, let's put that ping that as put that in the bike rack. No more parking lots.
No more.
What does that even mean? I was following and then this happens. What?
So Devardi, all it means is usually when you say an idea that you want to put somewhere late to deal with later, you put it in the parking lot in a meeting.
Why not buy what is this park? It's just what happened to the bike rack. You put stuff in bike rack too. Or later, if I have a lunch and I'm going to work, I eat it later. I can put it in my bike rack. I leave it there. What?
All right, you come up with the analogy. I can roll any analogy you want. You just, you know.
My brain works very differently during this summer, and it's going downhill very fast.
You know, all right, like this meeting is going downhill very fast.
And yet it was a really productive meeting.
It was fun.
This was a good one, guys. Well, way to bring your authentic selves and what's on our mind and figure out what we can do about it as a group. Better together.
Agreed. Agreed.
I was not a cheerleader in high school, but I've told I wear the uniform well.
Thanks, Wendy.
That actually surprises me, Wendy.
All right, well, it's 1 o'clock. It's time to sign off.
It is.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great
you all.
week. Bye.